Hi everybody, I'm Stephen Revere and this is Star English. Thanks for joining us. You know, nobody is 100% satisfied with their life no matter what's going on. There's always problems. But of course, you only can play the cards you get dealt. And you have to try and work through the problems that you have. But you can end up in a better position later. There's a little saying for this. Better the last smile than the first laughter, right? Starting out laughing is not as good as ending smiling, ending happy, right? So we all have to work hard, even if things aren't perfect now and you're not laughing right now, continue working hard and you will end up smiling. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Let's get started. Now it's time for a little trivia. Everybody, you know the word food in English, but do you know the word cuisine? I think you may have heard this before if you've been studying English for a little while. Cuisine is originally a French word, and it refers to the way that you make something in French, but in English it has come to mean a very expensive restaurant or the kind of food that you get from a certain country. Korean cuisine sounds much nicer than Korean food. And we have somebody here today who's going to teach us about Korean cuisine. His name is Daniel Gray. Let's go say hi. Hello again, Dan. How are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you, too. So, we just touched on our last episode. This is our second episode with you. We talked all kinds of stuff about your business last time, but at the end, we just touched upon the fact that you are also an adoptee.
Right.
And we talked about how you were actually adopted a little late. You grew up for 5 years in Korea, huh?
Yeah.
Do you have any memories of that?
Actually, I do a lot. Yeah,
really?
A lot of memories. I'm actually writing a book right now based on some of them. But yeah, it was a very different world. It was like, I remember running through the streets and, like running around trying to play marbles and things like that with other kids. And one thing I did remember that really stood out was like bananas used to be like really like stupidly expensive.
Right.
And I always wanted to have a banana and I could never afford a banana.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've heard this story from many Koreans.
Yeah, I've heard the story too.
You're the first adoptee I ever heard it from. Okay.
I remember like just running around the streets and you would see the guy with the carts, the fruit carts, going through the streets and he would have bananas on there and everybody would want to get a banana. I heard that some kids used to get bananas, like one banana as a birthday present.
I can see it. Sure.
Yeah, and then they would wait until the banana got all brown and kind of wilted and wasn't, it didn't look like that, that yellow smile anymore.
They just wanted to keep the banana
just
around.
Wanted to keep the banana
I
as
have a banana.
Exactly. It was more of a status symbol than a fruit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So any other memories?
I remember, like running around Daegu. I remember the orphanage quite a bit, actually.
You were in Daegu?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Which I didn't actually learn until I came back and I did a search for my mother.
Sure.
Because most people are adopted out of Seoul. So I thought that I was, also on my paperwork it says that I am from Seoul. So my orphanage was in Seoul. So I assumed that I was a Seoul person. But when I came back, I learned that I was originally born in Daegu and that I lived in Daegu for a while, which is very interesting because Daegu was always one of my favorite cities to visit. Until like I found out. Well, it still is. But then I found out I was from that area.
Okay, very interesting. And so, have you finally ended up meeting your birth mother too, right?
Yeah.
What made her want to need to send you abroad?
I mean, it was just it was mainly like I wouldn't have had a future here at all. When I was born born out of wedlock. So my father was already married, and he had a wife and 3 kids that were almost in high school. And you know, when I was like a kid.
Yeah.
You know, he just. So his family really didn't want to, you know,
acknowledge your existence,
exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, but also because back then, my mother really couldn't raise me by herself. I mean, she would have been a social outcast, basically.
Right.
Because she wasn't married and she had a kid.
Right. And in those days, that didn't happen. Right?
Yeah.
So she finally decided it would be better for her and for you. If she...
Well, actually, it was a little bit more complicated than that. She begged my father to take me in, because the way that the system works is they have the hojok system, so you have to be under your father's name.
Yeah.
So since technically I didn't have a name living with my mother, I wouldn't have been able to go to school. I would have not been able to go to the military. I wouldn't have been able to get a job. And I think my future prospects at that time was to become a gangster or become like, just a regular bum.
Yeah.
Or, what do they call them here? Manual workers or something like that?
Oh, yeah, or you could have maybe just done a day labor. Yeah.
So it was, so she didn't really have a choice, so she begged my father to take me in. So I lived with my father and his family for, I think about a year. I don't have anything, written down back then. But after that time, it was too much of a strain on his family.
Yeah.
So they all decided to put me up for adoption. So it was a choice for my future. They wanted to give me a chance to do something. And, there's no harsh feelings or anything like that. Yeah. I've talked to a lot of adoptees, and some of them have, like these delusions that they were, switched at birth with someone that was very rich, or they, like if they were ever upset with their parents in the United States, they would be like, oh, well, my real parents are in Korea.
Right.
But I think they don't really realize that people that were put up for adoption, they were put up for adoption because, this was the best choice for them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah.
And that